In this video, we're gonna focus on projectile motion. But before we solve the question here, let's know what projectile motion is. Okay, let's take a definition here. Please write. Projectile motion is a motion in a parabolic curve. Projectile motion is a motion in a parabolic curve. When we are saying about, listen to me carefully, when we are saying about projectile motion, we're also referring to two-dimensional motion. So any motion that moves along x-axis and also move along y-axis, that motion is also a parabolic motion. Please take notes. That is a projectile motion. So class, please write. Note that projectile motion is two-dimensional motion. When we say that a projectile motion is two-dimensional motion, that means it moves both in s and y direction. Please take notes. It moves both in s and y direction. So class, before we solve the equation here under projectile motion, please listen to me carefully. Before we solve the equation here under projectile motion, we have to consider the shapes, that is the shape of a projectile motion. So we have two shapes on a projectile motion. The first shape is when an object is launched on a cliff or on a tower. Whenever an object is launched on a cliff or a tower, there's a particular formula we use to solve that particular equation. Please, we are going to take a note here, okay? The second shape is when an object is in a parabolic path. So let's consider the shapes here and their formula. This one here is the first one here is when an object is launched on a cliff or tower. That is tower, okay? Depending. So when an object is launched on a cliff or tower, we have a shape like this. We have a shape like this. This here. Okay. And if their formulas are for height, we have the height of this to be 1/2 gt squared. For distance, which is v of s and t. Okay, this one here, this formula here, class, this formula here, this one here is for height. It's different from this one here. Okay, this one is for distance. Okay, this g here is the h represent height. That is this part here. The g is our selection due to gravity. The time is time taking place, taking it. Why? For distance, we are saying about this part here in terms of distance is this part here. Okay, the v of s represents the velocity along this axis here, along this axis. Velocity along this axis is the v. Okay, this is s axis. So to specify the velocity along s axis, we say v of s, while the time here is the time taking place, take note. So whenever you have any projected motion that is on a cliff or on a tower, these are the formulas we use. If you're asked to find the height, this is the formula for height, this one here. If you're asked to find the distance, this is the formula for distance. Please take note, okay? Now let's consider a given question here, class, before we consider the next shape, okay? Question 1, please. Okay, let's consider this question here, class. let's consider this question here. But before we solve this question here, let's first of all read the question. It said, an arrow is horizontally projected from the top of a tower with an initial velocity of, the initial velocity here is given to us as 15 meters per second. If it reach the ground 7 seconds, the time taken here is 7 seconds later. Calculate the height. We are asked to calculate the height here. So class, whenever you have any question that is projected, listen to me carefully. Whenever you have a question that the object is being projected, it means that that question is on projectile motion. So if a question is on projectile motion, the approach to solve that is to identify the shape. When you identify the shape, if it is a cliff or it is not a cliff, which we are going to consider the next shape, okay? Now, in this particular question here, this question is a tower. So the formula for tower and the formulas for cliff is the same. So these are the formulas we use if it is a tower or a cliff. These are the formula, okay? Now we are asked to calculate the height. So let's solve the solution first. So class, we identify that the shape here is tower, which is the same thing as cliff, and we are asked to find the height of this cliff or tower. So the formula to use is this: h, which is height, is equal to 1 over 2 g t squared. Please take note. Please take note. This h here represents height. This g here represents acceleration due to gravity, and this t here is time taken. Class, this g you are seeing here can either be given to you or might not be given to you, but it's a constant value, okay? And the value can either be 9.81 or 10 meter per second square. So when do we use g as 9.81 and when do we use g as 10 meter per second square? Please take note of this. Whenever you have a formula that is relating with g, that is the acceleration due to gravity, and you are asked to impute the value of g, which is a constant value, class, whenever it is given to you, use the value given to you as g. But if it's not given to you, use the approximated value, which is the approximated value of this. Remember, g is 9.81 meter per second squared, while the approximated will be equal to 10 meter per second square. Class, if you are given g in a particular question, you can use the value given to you. But if it's not given to you, like in this question here, it's not given to us, why we know that g is a constant value, okay? So for us to replace the value of g here, since it's a constant value, we use the approximated value, which is what? 10 meter per second square. Okay, now let's impute the values here. Our h will be equal to plus 1 over 2 times 10. We replace this as 10 because it's not given to us and it's a constant value, right? So using the approximated value, we impute that to be 10 times our time taken here in the question is given to us as 7 seconds. So we place 7. This time taken here is squared. So square the value, which is this. So I will have this to be, this will cancel this. I will have 5 here. This will be 5 times 49. So when you punch your calculator, 5 times 49 will give us 245. The unit of height is meters. Please take note. So this is how we solve any question like this. So let's solve an advanced question here, class. All you just have to do to get a few video here in this topic is to hit the subscriber button, or you can follow us on our TikTok handle, okay? Thank you. All right, let's solve the next question here. But before we solve this question here, let's understand the question properly. They said a projectile is projected horizontally at 10 meters per second from a height 45 meters. So the height of this projectile is 45 meters. The velocity is horizontally, that's the horizontal velocity is 10 meters per second. We are asked to calculate for the distance of this projectile. Okay, now the first thing you have to do whenever you have any question, or whenever you are asked to solve any question on projectile motion, please listen to me carefully. Whenever you are given any question on projectile motion, the first thing to do here is to identify the shape. So when you identify the shape, you use the formula allocated to that shape to solve that particular question. Okay, now how do we identify the shape of this particular question? Now, if you have a question and in that question they mention tower or cliff, it means that the object is launched on a cliff and we have a formula for it. But in this particular question here, the shape is unknown to us. We don't know if it is a cliff or the other shape. Okay, now how do we know if an object is projected on a cliff or tower? Whenever solution, all right, now whenever you have a question and this word are not mentioned, that is range, this word are only mentioned on the next shape which we are going to consider. Okay, whenever you have a question and this word are not mentioned, range, maximum height, maximum time, and time of flight. Whenever these words are not mentioned, if you have a question under projectile motion and this word are not mentioned, range is not mentioned there, maximum height is not mentioned there, maximum time is not mentioned there, time of flight is not mentioned there. Whenever these words are not mentioned, it means that that particular projectile motion will be projectile under the shape of tower or cliff. Please take note. So if you look into this projectile question here, if you look into this projectile motion here, there's nothing like range, there's nothing like maximum height, there's nothing like maximum time, and there's nothing like time of flight. So that means, this particular shape is shaped under cliff or tower. Please take note. So in terms of projectile motion, solving any question on projectile motion that is related to cliff or tower, we use this particular question here. We use this particular formula here. Now, whenever we have a question under cliff or tower, these are the formulas needed. For height, the formula is 1 over 2 gt square. So if you're asked to find height, you can use this formula here to find height. For distance, is equal to Vs, that is horizontal velocity, times t. If you're asked to find distance, you use this formula here. So of course, this particular question here is not under the next shape which we are going to consider. It's under the shape of a tower or the shape of a cliff. Please, they are the same. Okay, and we are asked to find distance. So I'll pick up this particular formula here. I'll pick up this particular formula here under distance. When you do that, distance d will be equal to v of s times t. So let's list out the given parameters from the equation here. Let's list out the given parameters here. The given parameters here is Vs is given to us as Vs is given to us as 10 meter per seconds. The height is given to us as 45 meters. The G is given to us as 10 meter per second squared. Okay. If you look into this, the G is already given to us here from the equation. Okay. And we are asked to find distance. Please take note. Class, for a projectile motion when an object is launched on a cliff or tile, this is the formula to use. But if you look into this formula here, class, V of S is given, but the time taken is not given. So we have to use this second formula, which the parameters are valid or available, to calculate the time taken here, and later replace that into this particular equation here. Please take note. So now let's use this one here to calculate time taken, and later replace it into here to calculate the distance. Okay. Now using the first formula, that is h is equal to 1 over 2 gt squared. Replacing the values, this 45 is equal to 1 over 2 times 10 times t squared. So this will cancel this, I will have 5. When you do that, this will be 45 is equal to 5t squared. Now divide both sides by 5 to make t squared to stand alone. Divide here by 5. Divide here by 5. When you do that, we'll have something like this. This will cancel this. This go here. Okay. So t squared is equal to 9. So our t will be equal to plus square root of 9, which is what? 3 seconds. Okay. Now, class, we are not asked to find the time taken. We are asked to find the distance. So from here, we have calculated for time taken here, and we are asked to find distance. The formula for distance is this formula here. So at this point, the parameters are available. Velocity is given to us as 10, and the time taken is being calculated using this formula here. When you do that, we'll have something like this. Distance, which is equal to V of S times T, will be equal to V of S is 10, that is horizontal velocity, times 3 of answer will be 30 in meters. Please take notes. So all you have to do to get the next video on the next shape is to hit the subscribe button. Okay, thank you.